Hey everybody, it's Andy Timmons. I'm back in Vienna and hanging out, and very excited to be back on Guitar Mania. And I hope you enjoyed the interview that we did, and hope to see you soon. Keep playing, right?
How was playing with Simon Phillips?
Oh man, well, it's still great. We're still we have lots more work to do together, I think. We first played together in 1993. It was called the Axe Attack. It was a NAMM show event in Anaheim. Mm-hmm. Ibanez was hosting a party for all their famous, rock guitar players. So it was Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert, Reb Beach, Sean Lane. Yeah, here's a few players. Alex Skolnick. And they asked me and Simon and a bass player named Gerald Beasley to kind of be the core band. Mm-hmm. And Simon said, yes, okay, I'll do that, but as long as we can play some of my solo songs. So not only did I have to learn songs of all the other guys, but I had to learn all these Simon Phillips tunes. So I was still in Danger. And so I was kind of known at that point for just being a hair band rock guy. But of course, playing Simon's music was what I really wanted to do. And being more known like Joe or Steve. I was recording my own instrumental material, but I hadn't released my first solo record, Ear Ecstasy, yet. So that was a big night for me because it kind of put me, in the league of some of my heroes, because I was a big fan of Joe and Steve and certainly admired all the other guys a lot. But Simon always remembered that night because then when he needed a guitar player in 1997, 4 years later, for a tour, and we played here in Vienna, 97, the Symbiosis tour. I remember it very well. It was very cold here, so it was January or February. And we've been working together on and off ever since.
And this person also asks, did you have to brush up on your jazz chops?
For that tour? Always. But what I bring to that band is certainly more the rock and roll edge, because that's where Simon comes from too. Even though he grew up playing in his father's jazz band, he's a rocker, So the people call it fusion, but it's not jazz rock, it's rock jazz, you know what I mean? It has the harmonic sensibilities and certainly a lot of odd time signatures, which takes me way out of my comfort zone, because I'm a straight ahead guy in some ways. But I love the challenge of it. I really enjoy being stretched out of my comfort zone. And harmonically, the music that he writes, is way different than what I do. So again, I do have to brush up and work on it because it challenges me. But it's an enjoyable process. I like being in that situation. And I'm practicing more now than I ever have, really. Just trying to work every day at playing, more jazz things, more things that challenge me harmonically. Just playing through jazz standards.
Actually, this is one of the questions that we got.
Okay.
Like, what are you practicing at the moment?
Every day, the first thing I do, along with the coffee, is I'll play. I've got the iRealbook app. It's an app on my iPad or iPhone, and it basically has just about any jazz standard that you might want to play. And it's like a playback. You can tell it what key, what tempo, what feel.
Wow. Okay.
And you can have just bass and click, or bass and drums, or bass, drums, and keyboard. And so the changes are there, the bass is there, and the groove is there. Sometimes the drums don't feel great, so on a swing tune, I'll just put 1, done. I'll put it on 2 and 4 on click, and so I can swing, I'll play an hour, just like that, just simply, but making the changes and really, working on voice leading and playing melodies. Mm. And it's the best thing I can do to start my day, and it just makes me feel good for the rest of the day. And after 3 years of really dedicatedly doing this, I'm starting to notice some improvement. A little bit,
I'm afraid I'm not much into blues,
right.
But I understand that blues is a very important foundation of contemporary music.
Very important, yeah.
Would you recommend studying the blues?
Okay.
If I don't like it?
No. Well, if you don't like something, if it doesn't resonate with you, you shouldn't have to force it. But there's a good chance that, I'm not sure what music they're into, but there's a good chance that depending on how far they go back in that music, that the influence is there. It may be obvious or not, unless they're into like some death metal or something. Maybe not the most bluesy, but even that probably on some level. I don't think anybody should ever study something if they don't really dig it, because I can't see that would internalize in a positive way if they're not happy doing it. You got to do what makes you happy. I was very fortunate that, and I didn't grow up playing blues, but I was influenced by guys that did play blues, because if you hear Clapton, or if you hear even Ace Frehley, who was my first big guitar influence, he was influenced by Clapton and Beck and Page, and they were all blues guys. So I didn't get it from Robert Johnson, I got it from Ace Frehley, but there it was, coming from the generations of influence. But the first time I heard Albert King, it was after Stevie Ray passed away. Now I heard the day I heard Stevie Ray, Texas Flood came out, and on the radio, I pulled off the road. I'd never heard anything like it. I was like, oh my God, who is this? I freaked out because the tone was huge. And because as a kid, I thought, oh, blues, it's so simple. It's so easy. Anybody can play. Because I thought, big deal. Well, of course it's a big deal. What do you do with those 5 notes? How do you move somebody with those 5 notes? And that's what Stevie Ray did, and all the blues guys before him. But the first time I heard Albert King, bend those notes, it was like, that's where Stevie got that, and the further back you go, you start realizing, man, this is so great. But again, I was fortunate that I loved it, I enjoyed it. I wanted to know, I love history. I love coming to Europe because America, at least the current version of America, is very young. There were some other people around apparently before we got there, but that's another episode of this show. But you know what I'm saying? It's great to go where there's a deeper culture and there's more history. You know what I mean? And so it's all waiting for there. If that person decides eventually that they want to do it, great. Hopefully they have a long life ahead of them. And that's why I love every couple of years I go a different direction. Like now I'm just studying jazz, and I love Barney Kessel. And I'm playing a lot of Brazilian music. I'm studying bossa novas. And I'm going to make a bossa nova record with Roberto Menescal producing, who's one of the original bossa creators from the late 50s. He's in his late 60s now. But he heard me playing Brazilian when I was in Brazil, and now he's going to produce the record.
That's the perfect.
So it's crazy, but I love it.
That's the perfect bridge, actually.
Okay.
We have received so many questions, and to sum up, Andy, what will be your next project?
Well, there's a lot going on. So the thing I get asked about the most is, when is the new Andy Timmons Band record coming out? And that's happening now. We're just we should be done by the end of December. Work schedule has been crazy because I'm co-producing it with Mike Dane, the bass player in the group, and he's got an amazing studio. So it's just a matter of having the time to be together to do it, because I keep having to go and not having to, I love to do it, but going and touring, and so it's been kind of fits and starts, but it's coming together great. It's not completely trio like Resolution and Sgt. Pepper. It was written for trio, but occasionally I might have a little extra guitar now. I'm giving myself a little bit of latitude to, if I think it needs a keyboard, why not? Okay. So a little more produced, not a lot, but we're having Mike and I are having a blast. Still going through the tone questing. Every song might have a different singer, meaning might have a different guitar. Mainly this guitar, but there's an SG special on one of the tunes that I've got strung up with 12s, heavy strings. It sounds cool. It's a different voice. I've got an old 65 Strat that's on a couple of songs already. So just enjoying, changing things a little bit as I go. And so that's the main thing. That's going to be finished first. There's a surf guitar record that I've had done for a while.
Doing a surf guitar?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. It's like a fictitious band. I call it Beach Blanket Ringo. Beach Blanket Ringo. It's been done for years, actually. I'm just now remixing it. And so that's going to come out. And this Brazilian record that I was talking about, that's going to happen next year. So, and I'm sure more stuff with Simon. We're coming back to Europe in May, hopefully to Austria. I don't know the dates or cities yet, but we've got a month that we've blocked out to come back to Europe. So Protocol will keep going. Hopefully a Protocol 4 sometime next year. We've done 2 and 3. in the last 2 years, 3 years. So that's been a lot of fun. So lots of
stuff
a
happening.
lot of things
actually.
happening. But the main thing is I feel like I'm really growing, more now than I have in a lot of years. I've always been playing, but now I really feel like I'm a student again. I'm really hungry for, being around as many other great players as I can, learning and transcribing. I don't put the pressure on myself that I have to learn entire solos anymore, because that's like a daunting task. But if you just learn one little nugget, and that's what I tell, because now that I'm teaching again, occasionally, I get some students that come in and they feel like, oh, I've got to learn all the modes, and they just feel like they've got this weight, because the whole world of information is on your device, so it's overwhelming. It's like, you don't need all that. Let's just play, something simply and build onto that. So I always encourage just smaller chunks instead of getting overwhelmed with having to know the whole solo or all the modes. Just get one little idea that might work its way into your playing and inspire you or reveal something to you that you hadn't thought of.
I understand you also have a new premium signature guitar.
Yes.
Just
introduced. It all starts here. This is my original. It eventually became the AT100. This guitar was built for me in 1994 at the LA Custom Shop by Ibanez. And I just had this old parts Strat neck that I sent them, and they had the RG style body. I had them make it in alder, so it's pretty much a classic vintage Fender. But with a lot of modifications as far as the hardware, the type of bridge, and the pickups, of course, are humbucking instead of single coil. So this became my main guitar that long ago, so 21 years ago. And I think it was about 1999 where they released a limited edition AT100 run, made in Japan, but only like 150 pieces were made. But then over the last, I don't know, maybe it's been available again for the last 5 or 6 years, the AT100. But they came to me, it's a pretty expensive guitar too, because my thought, of having anything signature, be it a pedal or a guitar or an amp or something, it has to be honest. It has to be exactly what I play, not some secret modification that's different from what people can buy. I want it to be exactly what I'm using, so I feel confident about it. It's honest. Because growing up reading guitar magazines, I'd see a picture of a guy endorsing some guitar and going, he never plays that guitar. He's just holding that guitar for the ad. It's like, I always felt like that's not right. I didn't dig that. And I might feel even less cool with that player just because I was, man, that's not cool. Why is he doing that? So that's why it was important for me when we put out that first signature model. I didn't want to cut any corners, because they said, we could make it more affordable if we do such and such and such, which as a company, you have to think about these things. But I was like, no, I don't want to do that. So pretty pricey for an Ibanez, as a guitar, a stock guitar. But they started making guitars in Indonesia, and I guess because the labor is so much cheaper than it is in Japan, they said, we think we can make an affordable version of your guitar. Would you be into it? I was like, because my first thought was, it sounds like it's going to be cheap, like not good quality, but not having. So we're making some for Vi and Satriani. They're really happy with it. Would you? Okay, make a prototype. But I was very skeptical, and whereas the prototype for the AT100 to be released, we might have done 4 or 5 versions where okay, we got it right. The very first prototype they sent me from Indonesia, I was like, I got nothing to say. This is great. All they did, they changed the tuning gears are different and the bridge. Everything else is exactly this guitar.
What did they do? Did they have the original? What did they take?
Yes, all measured. It's all digitally, perfectly, exactly measured. Wow. The way they can do that, I've never seen the machine, but there's some machine where they measure every detail. And so, to make it less expensive, they did put some other tuners on it and a bridge that's more traditional Fender style. But the guitar feels and plays amazing, and it's almost like half the cost. It's called the AT10, and now there's the AT10 RW, which is it's a white finish with a rosewood fingerboard. That I had a prototype for years that I've been playing because I wanted a guitar that looked like Jeff Beck's guitar on Wired. I love that Olympic white with the rosewood. It looks so cool. And so they did one like that, and now that's available too. And really proud of the guitars because they feel and sound great. And I can be proud of that. Okay. It is more affordable. And if somebody wants to upgrade the tuners and the bridge later, not too expensive to do that. But it's my guitar has always been about the tone of the pickups and the feel of the neck. That's the first thing that people gravitate towards because it feels like an old guitar. You know, it's kind of with very little finish on the neck. This one was built with no finish. And of course, it's worn well enough to where it feels it's like a vintage guitar now anyway. But the guitar brand new kind of feels like that. So if they like that kind of feel, it really resonates with those kind of players. So
sorry.
No, just proud of that. I'm just very proud of it. Yeah.
Do you think, or do you have the feeling that the more you play, the more like your energy goes into the instrument, and it sorts?
Somebody was asking me like, why do you still travel with that guitar? I mean, that's that guitar that you've recorded all these tunes with. And there's some, and I was saying to somebody, there's some of my like factory-made guitars that I have at home that sound a little bit better than this. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of, no matter what guitar you're playing, no matter what it says here, it's 2 pieces of wood, some pickups, and some hardware. There's not a whole lot of rocket science to it, but it's a matter of how you personally have it set up and how it feels to you. Obviously, the construction does matter, but all the specs of this, I'm just so comfortable with it. But I've played this guitar now. It's had 7 refrets, you know, and it's just so personal that I know it's a gamble when I travel with it, but at the same time, it's such a part of me. But I could easily play one of the production guitars too, because a lot of them sound great. I mean, I'm sure they all sound great. It's just a matter of what appeals to you, you know. So, but yeah, there's definitely, you know, some vibe and some miles that have gone into this, and as they say.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Andy, look, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks for having me again.
It's been a pleasure.
Great to be back in Austria.
Looking forward to your Bossa Nova record. And
yes,
and
it's good.
Simon Phillips tour next year,
Yeah.
and all the other stuff.
The Andy Timmons
surf record, not
Andy Timmons band record should be out in the spring. I'm doing a very cool tour next February and March in the U.S. with Uli John Roth and Jennifer Batten.
Wow.
And me. Kind of like a
cool
a little guitar tour. So that's going to be fun for me. I haven't really toured much in the States, you know, on my own. So maybe we'll be able to bring that to Europe at some point. My band will definitely come back over here, probably summer or fall with a new record.
Fantastic.
So yeah, lots of stuff coming, man. I'm really excited.
Looking
and there'll be a
forward to
jazz
that.
record eventually too. Straight ahead, Chet Baker
You're
style.
so versatile.
Well, I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan, and I'm a student. So if somebody wants to hear it, that's even better. You know, I'll keep trying. Keep trying.
Thanks so much, Andy.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Cheers.